Welcome to the Shatterproof Entrepreneur, and this episode we're honored to welcome Kimberly Joy, a champion for women's empowerment and a visionary in faith-based leadership. Kimberly is the founder of the Fellowship of Extraordinary Women and Kimberly Joy Ministries, where she dedicates her efforts to nurturing and supporting women in their personal and professional lives. Kimberly, welcome to the Shatterproof Entrepreneur.
Hi, Scott. Thank you so much for having me.
You are so welcome. Been looking forward to this since we met in Chicago at Jacob Salem's mastermind. You had a lot to offer in that room, and I just couldn't wait to get you on the show. Tell me a little bit about your background. What kind of led you up to the Fellowship of Extraordinary Women?
Well, gosh, that's such a loaded question because my whole life, it was the expression of my call, really, and the impact I was created to make on the world. But in a professional sense, what led to it was in 2011, I started a business as a coach. I had already been speaking, doing some local speaking things, teaching some classes, and telling my story if it helped people. And in 2014, I kind of caught this vision for what I could do to help women in particular. I didn't really have a target audience. I just wanted to help whoever needed help. I had a large family. We had been through a lot, and I had previously been facilitating Love and Logic parenting courses. So I was working with couples or single parents. I'm doing lots of different speaking engagements, faith-based, not faith-based. And when I caught this vision for other women who were out there kind of doing somewhat of what I was doing, they wanted to help people, they wanted to lead, they wanted to speak. And I thought, gosh, I wonder what would happen if I created a network for women that were passionate like me about their faith, their families, and their businesses. And we helped them do the thing they were made to do even better. We helped them tell their stories in print. What if that could be the way that I help other women? Like, I can reach way more people if I essentially totally multiply my efforts and release this army of women into the world instead of just me out there doing what I was doing in the world. And after I had that vision, 1 year later, we had our first few monthly meeting and welcomed our first members.
Wow. So what year was that?
2014 was when we began,
so
10 years ago.
We're 10 years in. How many women are involved in that, what I would call a movement now?
Yes, it is truly a movement. And it's hard to put a number on it, but hundreds, many people tell me that I've reached thousands. I don't know the answer to that. I know that we've now taken it internationally. We have few members across, very far across the pond, so to speak, all the way in Africa. We have a few chapters starting in Atlanta. We're in talks about a few chapters in Minnesota. We're expanding right now in wonderful, beautiful ways. And my vision of few women all over the globe is starting to happen, Scott.
That's so cool. So, this is obviously ministry for you. So do you do this for profit or is this nonprofit?
So Few is a business. It's for profit. And as I was raising my family, I had a lot of years as a stay-at-home mom before I started in business. And actually, it was single motherhood that launched me into business. After almost 20 years of marriage, I found myself a single mom with 10 of my 11 kids overnight. And after trying this thing and that thing, it was ultimately a business that God gave me, a business idea. And at that time, it was cleaning. And entrepreneurship gave me a freedom that other jobs didn't give me. And I'm like a third or fourth generation entrepreneur. It was kind of always in my blood. If you asked me when I was 12 what I was going to be when I grew up, I would say, I'm going to own a business. And people would say, what kind of business? And I go, I don't know. It's just like, who cares? As long as I own a business. That was my attitude as a young person. And my dad was just a business owner, entrepreneur, successful. I just wanted to be like him. And, and so after cleaning houses and doing things to provide for my family, eventually I became a coach, and I kind of made this decision. I said, God, if I have to work the rest of my life, which I do, because I don't know if you heard that, but 10 of my 11 kids were under the age of 18, Scott.
Oh, yeah.
And I was
I heard that.
left holding the bag. Okay. And so I had a lot of working years ahead of me. And I said, okay, God, if I'm going to do this, then I'm going to do something I was born to do. I'm going to do something I love. And I'm going to do something that is fun, because I don't know about you, but who wants to do something that's not fun, like 50 hours of the week,
Right.
Not this girl. So that was really what led me into life coaching and helping people the way I already was. I was sitting across the table helping people and just not getting paid for it. And so when this life coaching thing kind of appeared, I live in Wisconsin and we're kind of behind the times. I admit it. Midwest is the last to know. Nobody even knew what a life coach was when I got my start. So my biggest obstacle was educating people on what I even was before I could talk them into wanting to hire me. But
I've been there.
when I set out to do this, it was very clear to me that I was to start a business, not a ministry. And that did surprise me, because even though it excited me, because I always wanted to be a business owner, I thought that the way to make an impact was through ministry. And I have learned, I kind of call it my ministry. It's a business, and I get to speak the truth. I get to share the love of Jesus. I get to activate women in their destinies. In fact, what I say is I awaken them to their God-given destiny. I activate them in their God-given gifts, and then I accelerate them on that path. And if that's not ministry, I don't know what is. But, God said, start a business, and I love it. I love being a business owner.
Yeah, let's dive into that a little bit, because I think a lot of people like us have ministry visions, and they get confused on whether they can do it for profit, or does it have to be a nonprofit? And legally, you can do it either way. There's some downsides to doing the nonprofit ministry, because you have to have a board. You have to mess with them before you can make any major decisions. They could actually take your whole ministry from you if you aren't careful. And so there's some real downsides there. Upside is you can get 501c3 registration and take donations that are tax deductible. That's a plus. But if you do it for profit, you are 100% in control, and you get to set the vision, you get to set the mission, and you get to determine everything. And then you get to run it like a business. But I love that, where it's a biz ministry. It can still do both. There's no rule.
Yes, it's marketplace ministry is what it is. Yeah.
And so
and people say that. Absolutely. And women will say to me, should I start a ministry or should I start a business? And I say to them, this is truly how I help them gauge it. Would you like to trade your services for money, or would you like to ask people for money 24/7? What would you like to do? And they look at me and I say, both of them are businesses. Both of them have an exchange of finances. There's money coming into your business. It's just the how. So no Christian women that I know like to ask for money. They don't like to sell their services. They don't like to sell their products. And I say to them, if you don't feel comfortable saying, I will offer you a high level service in exchange for your dollars, you're going to hate asking for money for nothing.
Ooh, that's powerful. Yeah, that's so true. And there's some people that are gifted at asking for money for nothing, but not most of us. Most of us have trouble just asking for the close at the end of the sales call. Not just women. That's not you all don't own that. That's just we love to teach people, to educate about our product or service, but when it comes to that last question of, do you want to do business with me for this price? So many people freeze up.
They choke. Yes.
One way I've seen some people do this and have advised them to do it is if you've created a valuable program like you have, and you want the advantage of the nonprofit, is to create both. So have your for-profit ministry business, marketplace ministry, and then have a nonprofit that licenses your stuff. And you can tie them down to where they can't use your stuff if they kick you off the board or fire you as the executive director whatever you want. So you can kind
Okay.
of tie them down that way. Then you can still get donation money if you want it. It doesn't have to
Okay.
be your only source of income, because you can still keep doing your coaching individually, but offer it through a nonprofit ministry as well. That's kind of a hybrid model that we've helped some people do. But again, you don't have to do that. You can just do your own business and make it ministry oriented and just share the love of Christ through business. And you're doing
Yes.
that
I mean, most
so
people don't
well.
know Joseph in the Bible was kind of the original marketplace minister. He had a destiny on his life. He saved the known world from starvation with his business mind, with his administrative gift, with his leadership gift. And if saving the known world from starvation isn't ministry, I don't know what is. But he sold that food, and that food had to be purchased for either dollars or something of value. And even when his own brothers came for food, he made them buy the food. And so I think Christians get so hung up on, oh, business bad. Business was God's idea. In Deuteronomy 8, it says, I, the Lord, give you the power to create wealth, not to find it, not to inherit it. He says, I'm going to show you how to create it. And guess what creates wealth? Business.
Yeah, well, and Paul was in the tent business. I mean, he was a tent maker to pay his way.
Yep.
And so you might have a business like the cleaning business you might not do a lot of ministry through it, but if it can create income and revenue that you can then take and support other ministry things. So business is such a strong tool. And, people that I've seen that have the gift of giving are generally gifted in business and able to generate more than enough money so that they can then give it into the kingdom for all of us to benefit from.
Yes,
So,
I heard a really great definition for wealth recently, Scott. I want to share it with your listeners and your viewers. Mm-hmm. The definition of wealth is different for every human being, and here's why. The definition of wealth for me is I having enough money for my kingdom assignments. Isn't that powerful? Wow. And my kingdom assignments include my generosity, my philanthropy, my feeding the poor, my building tiny houses in Africa for the homeless, my digging wells for clean water. My kingdom assignments are vast, and there's a lot of need out there that I've been assigned to. That means I'm going to need God's help generating enough wealth to fulfill my kingdom assignments. And so will you. And the only difference there is all of our assignments aren't the same. So our wealth doesn't need to be the same. So why are we gauging someone else has too much and I don't have as much as them? Maybe they have a bigger assignment than you have.
And maybe you haven't asked for a big enough assignment. Some of us we're thinking so small when God has a lot more for us to do, we're just not able to get a vision for that. So yeah, if you're listening, I would really encourage you to expand your vision. Ask God, what can I do to create more so that I can do more for your kingdom? Yes. Not more so you can have Lamborghinis and all those things, jets, but what you can actually do, like go building the houses in Africa. That's so cool. So let's dive in a little deeper on what does FEW actually do? How does it work? How would someone get involved? So kind of give me some details on how that looks, the chapter.
Well, thank you for the chance to share. I love talking about it. So we have monthly membership. Our members gather together once a month, and we have various speakers. We talk about topics relevant to our faith, family, and finances. Those are the legacies that we're working on leaving behind. Legacies in our faith, our families, and our finances. So we're talking about those topics every month. In addition to that, we offer 3 professional certifications for women in business. We certify them in leadership. We certify them as confident keynote speakers, and we certify them as coaches and trainers. And then we also thoroughly train them in marketing and promotions and branding. So they don't just have a new skill, they know how to actually go out and start a business, promote their business, and get paying clients.
Okay.
So those are the main things.
Do that for free? Can you be in chapter for free?
No, those things are valuable services and trainings we provide. So those things are not free. Our products and services do have a cost related to them. But what I love about what we do, because when I received my training, nobody told me how to start a business. Nobody told me about branding, promoting. They said, oh, go Google some stuff. That was kind of I got 2 hours of marketing training when I became a coach, 2 hours. Yeah. And so for the next 18 months, I struggled to fill my practice. And I decided if I'm going to go out there and I'm going to release coaches, authors, speakers, I am going to help them actually build a business. I'm going to give them what nobody gave me. And so we do tell them we can't guarantee your results, but we can guarantee you if you implement what we teach you, you will get paid. And so now it's up to you to go out there and get paid. And so we've been doing this now. I think our first certification was in 2017, so about 7 years ago. We added the coaching and training in 2020. We did our first certified keynote speaker course in 2023, finalizing that third certification. And as of 2024 now, we are expanding to have chapter presidents, and we're actually in some licensing agreements with several women to expand few so that there can be few members. And these trainings and certifications can be offered in major cities all over the US and abroad.
Oh, amen. That's fantastic. Hey there, it's Scott Reed, cutting in for a quick moment. If you're enjoying the podcast and finding value in our discussions, you're going to love the Access Plan. It's designed for entrepreneurs like you, offering unlimited legal advice without the worry of high hourly fees. With the Access Plan, you can get the legal support you need at a flat monthly rate so you can focus on growing your business with confidence. Head over to reblaw.com/access to learn more and join Access now and get busy shatterproofing your business. Now let's get back to our amazing guest. And then I know another part of what you do is international publications, right? So you help women write books. And you have written books as well.
Yes. Yeah, we're so excited about that. Our publishing division has published 16 #1 books on Amazon. We've got a #2 book on Amazon and 4, 5, 6 other titles that we didn't even know about Amazon yet or do the Amazon thing yet. That was in the early days. So we just love what we're able to do to help our authors make a splash in the biggest bookstore in the world, put their story in print, create a how-to book or a memoir. And we also have anthologies or collections of stories on the same topic. And so, for women struggling with their faith or women who are having some sort of, could be a health crisis or a family crisis, we have books that are so full of testimonies of God's faithfulness, so full of true women's stories. By the time you close that book, you cannot be discouraged. You cannot be hopeless because we've collected all these powerful stories of what God has done for his daughters. And it's just a thrill to be able to give women a place to do that in print and to see them go from, I have a story, I'm not sure if it's relevant, to I'm a published author and people's lives are being touched because I told my story in print. It's a thrill, Scott. I love it.
Wow. Yeah. So people that I know are hesitant to write a book, right? They think that, no, I can't do that, or I don't have anything worth writing. And what I'm hearing you say is that that's not true, that everyone has a story and people need to hear your story. Especially if you're a believer, then people need to hear what God's done in your life, what he's taken you through, what he's how he's blessed you, all of that in between. And the way we've shared stories for generations is through writing and books. And that's cool that you're doing that. You do so many cool things. I don't know anyone that's doing what you're doing for men, unfortunately.
I hear that a lot, Scott. And I actually have somebody kind of knocking on my door right now, like, how can I do what you're doing for men? Yeah. And, from what I gather, it's a need in the community of men. And I do hope and pray some men step up and do what we're doing and help men become truly equipped for the call, because right now, the way that the world is going, whether you're a man or a woman, Jesus said it best. He said, the harvest is ripe, but the workers are few. Well, I like to say the workers are few. It's the few women, we're the workers. But I know what Jesus meant. He meant there needs to be so many more of us, whether male, female, whether young or old. Listen, the world is just waiting for the sons and daughters of God to arise and to speak life into this dying world, to speak hope into the hopeless, to activate people in their God-given destinies. There's so much in people. Like, I look at people and I see what God made them to be and the gift in them. And I think, imagine if they use that gift for the kingdom. Imagine if she used that gift for the kingdom, or he used that gift for the kingdom. And God chose to impact them through us. He chose to limit himself by saying, what happens on the earth is going to be through my church, through my body. And like, as a parent, I think about that. I have 11 children. And I think to myself, if I, as a mother, said, the only real mark I'm going to make on this world is going to be through my children, that's a scary decision. I think I'm going to have a little coffee talk with the Lord when I get to heaven and just say, you gambled a lot on us. Like, have you seen us?
Yeah.
Have you met us? Like, the human race, we're not a safe bet. But what is a safe bet, Scott, is the word of God. It does not return void. The Spirit of God and the word of God that both dwell in his children, it cannot return void, and it cannot be fruitless. And that's why the Father took the gamble, because he said, I'm going to give you my word, I'm going to give you my Spirit, and you're going to have everything you need, and you're going to do it. But yeah, I look around at the world and I say there needs to be more men, more women, more kids doing what they were called to do, because people are dying in droves. And I mean spiritually dying, physically dying, all the things.
Yeah, amen. Something that you said that's super important for the forward listeners and viewers to grab a hold of is that when I asked about the men, there's a huge opportunity there as far as business, right? I mean, there's lots of dollars there that you could take what you've got, change it, rework it a little bit, and then go after men and make a whole lot of money. But you're not called to do that. You're called to do this for women. And so many business owners, whether ministry related or not, make a mistake of getting out of their lane. It's like when you're going down the highway and you change lanes without signaling, you get smacked. And the same thing happens in business. And so, especially if you when you have a calling onto that, do what you're called to do, and don't vary off, because when you do, that's when things start going wrong. Do what you're supposed to do.
Yeah.
Stay in your lane, and until God says do something else. But just because there's a shiny object over here that is something close to what you do, that doesn't mean jump on it and do it. You might be able to empower someone else to do it and encourage them.
Yeah.
But don't just jump out there and do it, because there's trouble in those shiny things, not just distraction. You can get in major legal trouble doing those things that you think you know how to do, but they're not quite the same. And suddenly you're in over your head, and you wish you would just stay where you were supposed to be. So follow Kimberly's example and stay in your calling, stay in your lane, and then let other people pick up and do the other things that need to be that need to happen. There's no doubt we need groups like this for men. But I applaud you for knowing your calling and staying in your lane.
Well, thank you. As you're talking, I'm thinking, I think my contribution is by raising up my sons. My oldest son has been certified through my program, and my youngest son is going to be taking the course in June. And, they're my bookends, my oldest and youngest sons. And I see them, they're such leaders among their peers and among their brothers. And I see all my boys in some way stepping into that. And would that make me the happiest mom on the planet, to see my sons activated out there, activating other men? Absolutely. My boys are leaders and they're called, but I do believe that men are called to men right now today because just the same thing for women. Even in Titus, it says, older women teach the younger women. Now, I'm not of a religious mindset that men and women can't teach each other. I'm not saying that. I'm saying there are elements of masculinity and femininity that you have to get and learn and attain through the feminine if you're a woman and the masculine if you're a man. Like when I became a single mom, 2 of my sons went to military school, and I sat down with the RFO one day during a conference, and I said, I just want you to know what my expectation of you is. And he said, okay, what is it? I said, I expect you to teach my sons to be men. And he looked very taken aback, and I said, I'm wise enough to know that women don't teach boys how to be men, men do. And so you're tasked with that, and I expect nothing less from you. And the outcome was so good. The outcome was so good. But that's what I'm saying, where we have to be realistic about what's the right prescription for what ails our society. And I think a man who has stepped into his masculinity, who loves like Jesus, who serves people, he has a responsibility to teach other men how to do that. He's got to replicate that. Jesus's whole model is discipleship. And his model was go show each other how it's done. You newbie, you emulate the guy who's in front of you. He's maybe only newer than you by 3 months, but he knows just enough more than you for you to start emulating what he knows. That's the model for the kingdom. And I guess when I think about that, it doesn't surprise me at all that I ended up with a network of women, equipping them and sending them out, because that's the model of the kingdom.
Yeah. Wow, that's so powerful. So powerful. That's really cool that your sons have gone through some of your certification. Any of your daughters gone through?
They've been to events. None of my daughters are certified by me just yet. I'm a praying mom, Scott, so I'm going to say yet.
So we have 11. How old is the oldest and how young is the youngest?
The oldest is just about 36. The youngest is 18. And as of March, my 8th grandbaby was welcomed into the family, and she is absolute cherub angel named Dottie Bloom. So Dottie Bloom rounded us out with 4 granddaughters, 4 grandsons. So
nice.
They're neck and neck now.
Yeah. What a terrific legacy that you're building for those grandchildren. And kind of back where we started with, by doing this as a business, because as a nonprofit, it's very difficult to leave as a legacy for your kids. But when you build a workplace ministry like you've done, then you're building something that can go on for generations.
Yes.
Yeah. What a blessing. So cool. What is next for Kimberly Love?
I would say world domination, just something really simple. No, we are looking to have few in 10 cities by the end of the year. So we're just really excited about the expansion of the chapters. And we're so excited that we have roots now in South Africa, in the Johannesburg area, but kind of on the outskirts. And we're waiting to see where else we can go with our message to women. I'll tell you, when we are abroad or local, it is just amazing to me how much women have in their hearts. They want to leave a legacy. They don't want to just, do the grind and retire at whatever age and go play golf. I'm telling you, the women that I encounter, they want to be purposeful. They want to be intentional. They want to have impact. They want to leave a legacy. They want to do something that matters. And Few is here to help them do it.
Okay, that is very cool. Well, as we wrap up our conversation, where should they connect with you? I know that people are excited to find out more about you and what you're doing and watch what you're doing. So where should they do that?
Thank you for asking that, because I would love to connect with those watching and listening. They can find me on socials at official Kimberly Joy. I'm on LinkedIn, Instagram, Facebook, TikTok. They can find me any of those places, official Kimberly Joy. And they can check out my website, thefewwomen.com. We've got all kinds of info there. Anybody can attend our monthly meeting online and just check us out until Few is in your city. We do have an online membership opportunity. So I would love to just actually hear what your viewers and listeners thought about our conversation today. If they had something to add, that's just so exciting to me when it becomes a whole conversation.
Yeah, I'll ask you one more question and then we can wrap up.
Okay.
Obviously, I met you at a mastermind, and I mean, and everyone will agree with me as they listen and watch this. You seem like you've got it all together. So why do you need to go to a mastermind?
Oh, that's a great question, Scott. So I made a decision last year to really take a leap. I invested a lot more money than I've ever invested in having my own coach to grow my business and to see some of these goals that I'm now achieving, to see some of those come to fruition. I knew that the things that I needed to level up, or really, I'll be honest, I want to 10x my business. And I went to Jacob Salem because he was my strategy for 10xing. And it's like, if everybody knew how to do everything and all you needed to do was Google it, we'd all be rich, skinny, and successful. We need people's help. And so I took a leap and I spent more money on a coach than I've ever spent in my business life. And I am so grateful I did. Most of the time when you do that, I heard a quote recently, Scott, it's the transformation is in the transaction. You know exactly what I'm saying too. The transformation is in the second I paid that money, I already leveled up because I made a decision. I'll do whatever it takes because now I'm really invested. And so some of your listeners are out there and they're entrepreneurs and they've got opportunities to work with high-level experts, but it's going to cost them some money. Just vet the person, read reviews, don't go in blind. But if this is a trustworthy person, pay the money and level up. Sometimes the only way you level up is by spending some money and investing back into you.
Yeah, that's been the only way I've been able to do it. And I kind of knew what your answer would be, so I wanted you to say it. They hear it all the time from me. But you need to find a coach. You need to find a mastermind group. I think there's real power in that combination of having someone that can guide you to that 10x, but also having the people that are along with you for the journey. And I've been in the room, in Kimberly's room with that mastermind, and she's surrounded by some amazing, strong people that have a variety of different kinds of businesses that all are trying to help each other get to that 10x level. And you can find something like that too. And I just encourage you listeners to go find that one that's right for you and 10x your business, and then come back and tell us what you've done. Jump on the comments and let us know where you are, who you're working with, and then we will encourage you and we'll pray for you for sure. So Kimberly, thank you so much. Thank you so much for coming on. It was even better than I could have imagined, and I thought it was going to be great. So as we close,
Scott, thank you.
I'd like to offer you a blessing. May the road rise up to meet you. May the wind be always at your back. May the sun shine warm upon your face. May the rains fall soft upon your field. And until we meet again, may God hold you in the palm of his hand. Ladies and gentlemen, if you've enjoyed this show as much as I have and have received the value that I've found, I'd love it if you'd subscribe, like it, give us some comments. Until next week, stay Shatterproof. This podcast is for informational purposes only and should not be taken as professional advice. While I'm your host, Scott Reed, and a lawyer, I'm not your lawyer, and this podcast does not establish an attorney-client relationship. The views expressed by my guests are their own and not mine, and they may not even reflect the opinion of the Shatterproof Entrepreneur Podcast. So we strive to provide valuable and accurate content, but we make no representations as to the accuracy, completeness, or suitability of any information to your particular situation, and won't be liable for any errors or omissions for the application of them. Always consult a professional or in the respective area that we've discussed before making any personal or business decisions.